Where did Madeleine McCann vanish? Inside a locked holiday apartment or beyond its doors? Investigators begin with the final routine. Children asleep, parents dining nearby. A timeline is sketched on paper. Entry points are photographed. Window shutters are tested. Keys are logged. Nothing appears forced. Yet the room feels altered. Something is missing, besides a child, according to reports filed. What was the last moment anyone outside the family saw her alive? Detectives retrace movements using restaurant receipts and timestamps. Tables are measured against walking distance. Paths are mapped with stopwatches running. Witness statements are pinned beside clocks. Timings overlap too closely. A window opens where certainty should exist. The gap is small, but it refuses to close under review. Why did the first search move outward instead of inward? Officers knock on nearby doors before sealing the apartment. Footpaths are scanned with flashlights. A local beach edge is walked in lines. Names are written, crossed out, rewritten. The apartment remains active with people entering. Later, investigators note contamination risks. Evidence may already be compromised, but no record shows exactly when. Could an abductor enter through the window without leaving damage? Investigators photograph shutters, measuring height and angle. Dust patterns are documented. A neighbor reports hearing nothing unusual. Competing interpretations emerge. Silent entry versus staged access. No tool marks appear. The window becomes central, not because of proof, but because alternatives narrow. Each measurement reduces certainty rather than building it. What does a trained dog detect that humans miss? British handlers deploy cadaver and blood dogs inside the apartment weeks later. Dogs alert near the sofa and rental car. Alerts are logged on video. Critics note contamination risks. Supporters cite consistency. No physical samples confirm the alerts. The reaction changes direction, but evidence remains interpretive, not conclusive. And debate replaces momentum. When does assistance become suspicion? Investigators reclassify the parents as formal suspects. Interview rooms replace search grids. Questionnaires grow longer. Timelines are challenged minute by minute. Supporters see cooperation. Critics see inconsistencies. Legal status alters access to information. The investigation pivots inward, not because new evidence appears, but because existing evidence is reinterpreted under pressure. What happens when headlines outrun facts? Media coverage floods television screens, naming theories before verification. Detectives track leaks alongside leads. Public tips surge, then contradict each other. Posters spread globally. Investigators quietly flag misinformation interfering with witness reliability. The case becomes famous faster than it becomes clear. Attention multiplies, clarity shrinks, and investigative control weakens under constant observation. Why does the case stall after legal intervention? Portuguese prosecutors cite insufficient evidence to proceed. Suspect status is lifted. Files are archived, not resolved. Investigators document unanswered questions inside sealed folders. The decision changes momentum instantly. Searches stop. International cooperation slows. The absence of charges becomes interpreted as exoneration, though the evidentiary gaps remain physically documented. Which evidence stayed public and which stayed buried? Independent reviewers question dog alerts, timeline assumptions, and early contamination. Investigators compare original notes with later summaries. Margins contain doubts not shown on television. No single error stands alone. Instead, small decisions stack. Each one seemed reasonable. Together, they create a structure that is difficult to dismantle, yet impossible to fully trust. Why is this case still reopened years later? New suspects emerge, then fade under scrutiny. Old evidence is re-examined with modern tools. Locations are searched again. Each return suggests something was missed the first time. Investigators never announce discovery, only possibility. The central contradiction remains unchanged. Disappearance without trace, inside a space already examined, repeatedly, without agreement. Why reopen a case officially closed? Years later, investigators pull archived boxes from storage. Evidence labels are rechecked against original logs. Old photographs are scanned again. Handwritten notes are digitized, timelines are reconstructed with modern software. Nothing new is added, yet emphasis shifts. What once seemed peripheral now moves center. Reopening signals uncertainty, not discovery. Why does another country claim progress where others stalled? German police announce a suspect held on unrelated charges. Investigators map his past locations against Praia da Luz. Phone records are reviewed. Vehicle ownership is cross-checked. Proximity replaces proof. No direct evidence is presented publicly. The shift reignites hope, but documentation remains circumstantial, resting on movement patterns rather than physical trace. Can phone data place intent or only presence? Investigators analyze call records near the resort. Towers are mapped by range, not precision. A call aligns with the disappearance window. Critics note coverage overlap. Supporters argue timing relevance. No call content is known. The data neither confirms nor excludes involvement. It tightens focus while leaving motive and action undefined. What does repeated searching reveal when nothing is found? German and Portuguese teams revisit wells, scrubland, and abandoned buildings. Ground is disturbed and re-smoothed. Equipment detects anomalies, not conclusions. Each cleared site reduces possibilities while increasing frustration. Investigators document absence carefully. Negative results become data points, yet absence does not explain how a child left unseen. Why does certainty appear on television before it appears in court? Media reports suggest strong evidence. Investigators privately note gaps. File reviews show assumptions amplified into conclusions. Public confidence rises without corresponding charges. Detectives track how headlines alter witness memory over time. The louder the claims grow, the narrower investigative flexibility becomes. Constrained by expectations rather than documentation. Why hasn't an arrest followed renewed attention? Prosecutors cite evidentiary thresholds unmet. Search warrants expire. International cooperation continues cautiously. Investigators prepare briefs that cannot yet stand alone in court. The suspect remains named, not charged. Legal restraint pauses investigative momentum again. The case advances publicly, but legally remains stationary. Balance between suspicion and provability. Why do experts reviewing the same material disagree? Forensic analysts debate dog alerts, timeline compression, and contamination risks. Behavioral experts contest interpretations of parental actions. Each conclusion depends on weighting, not new evidence. Investigators record dissent without resolution. Agreement proves elusive. The case resists consensus, suggesting the problem lies not in missing opinions, but in missing certainty. What evidence should exist but doesn't? No confirmed trace leaving the apartment. No verified sighting after bedtime. No recovered belongings. Investigators list expected indicators and cross them out. Each absence narrows explanations while weakening confidence. A disappearance without residue challenges standard investigative logic. The lack itself becomes the most consistent feature of the case. Why does closure remain unreachable? Every theory solves one problem and creates another. Abduction explains absence, not silence. Accident explains timing, not concealment. Investigators cycle through scenarios without convergence. Files expand instead of resolve. Each reopening signals unresolved contradictions preserved inside official records, ensuring the case remains active in memory, if not in court. How does a child vanish from a monitored resort without a confirmed path? Investigators revisit the same space repeatedly, measuring, testing, documenting. No definitive exit is proven. No internal event is confirmed. The evidence supports multiple explanations but completes none. The case ends where it began, with a room examined many times and a question still standing. Why does every investigative path lead back to the same room? Detectives re-enter the apartment years later. Measurements are repeated. Sight lines are tested from doorways and windows. Noise levels are recreated using ambient recordings. Investigators document how sound carries, or doesn't. Each test contradicts assumptions made earlier. The space offers no confirmation, only resistance to certainty. What if the timeline itself is unstable? Investigators overlay witness statements again. Check times shift by minutes. Dinner logs conflict with walking estimates. Patrol schedules don't align cleanly. Small inconsistencies accumulate. No single error invalidates the sequence, but together they weaken confidence. The disappearance window expands instead of narrowing, allowing multiple scenarios to coexist without exclusion. How reliable are memories shaped by repetition? Investigators compare early statements with later interviews. Details evolve subtly. Phrases align with media language. Certainty increases as accuracy declines. Detectives flag reinforcement effects. No witness is dismissed outright, yet none remain fixed. Memory becomes fluid under attention, complicating reconstruction instead of stabilizing it. How does someone leave without being seen? Investigators model exit routes using resort layouts. Sightlines from balconies are mapped. Lighting conditions are simulated. Patrol timing is overlaid. Every route intersects visibility at some point. No path guarantees concealment. The absence of sightings remains unexplained, suggesting either extraordinary timing or an incorrect assumption about movement itself. When does behavior become evidence? Investigators rewatch archived footage of parental interviews. Body language is logged, not interpreted. Timing of statements is compared to new information exposure. Analysts note changes, not conclusions. Stress reactions overlap with suspicion markers. Behavior alone cannot confirm action. It only fuels competing narratives that investigators cannot conclusively separate. Does the German suspect resolve or relocate uncertainty? Investigators test the theory against known facts. Location fits loosely. Opportunity exists abstractly. Physical evidence remains absent. Prosecutors request stronger linkage. Each review ends the same way. Plausibility without proof. The theory sustains public belief but struggles under evidentiary standards required for escalation. Could early assumptions have shaped every step afterward? Internal reviews assess initial framing decisions. Notes reveal narrowing hypotheses. Alternative leads appear briefly, then fade. Investigators debate whether focus became fixation. No misconduct is identified. Bias remains procedural, not personal. The question persists. Did the investigation follow evidence? Or did evidence follow direction? Why does the public sound more certain than investigators? Official statements are carefully phrased. Media summaries simplify them. Confidence appears externally while files show hesitation. Detectives track how certainty hardens outside the investigation. Once belief sets, revising it becomes difficult. Public pressure favors answers, while the case continues to supply only questions. What does reopening signal without arrests? Investigators acknowledge unresolved contradictions formally. Resources are reassigned in cycles. Each reopening confirms something essential. Closure was premature. Files remain active because elimination failed. No theory has collapsed all others. Reopening becomes an admission of incomplete understanding. not progress measured by outcomes. Where does an investigation go when evidence refuses hierarchy? Every explanation survives partial testing. None dominates conclusively. Detectives document stalemate conditions. The case exists in balance, not motion. Absence, reinterpretation, and uncertainty coexist. The investigation does not stop, it circulates. And the central contradiction remains active, awaiting a piece of evidence that has never appeared. What evidence should have surfaced by now but hasn't? Investigators list expected recoveries: clothing fibers, verified sightings, confirmed transport traces. None appear. Time passes without emergence. Cold cases usually produce fragments eventually. This one does not. Detectives note the anomaly formally. The absence is not temporary anymore. It becomes a defining characteristic that resists explanation. Why does this case behave differently from similar disappearances? Analysts compare files with other resort abductions. Patterns usually repeat. Evidence trails form. Witnesses surface. Here, parallels collapse. Similar methods fail to generate results. Investigators document divergence point by point. The comparison doesn't clarify Madeline's case. It isolates it, marking it as structurally abnormal. When does authority lose persuasive power? Official statements insist progress continues. Internally, uncertainty dominates. Investigators recognize that repetition has replaced advancement. Credibility strains under longevity without outcome. Each announcement raises expectations the evidence cannot meet. Authority remains intact legally, but weakens narratively, unable to demonstrate control over unresolved facts. Why do disproven theories continue circulating? Partial refutations leave room for revival. No theory is fully eliminated. Investigators track how ideas resurface with minor adjustments. Each survives because none collapse decisively. The case becomes theory-resistant. Instead of convergence, it produces recycling. Old explanations return because nothing conclusively replaces them. How does time damage certainty without adding clarity? Witnesses age, locations change, records degrade. Investigators compensate with reconstruction tools, but erosion remains. Time removes opportunities faster than it reveals truths. Each year narrows what can still be proven. The investigation continues against a clock that never favored resolution from the beginning. Why has no confession surfaced in a case this famous? Investigators review interrogation histories and suspect profiles. No psychological break occurs. No credible admission withstands verification. False leads outnumber usable ones. In many cases, pressure produces disclosure. Here, notoriety increases silence. The absence of confession removes one of the last conventional paths to closure. What happens when cases outlive investigators? Personnel rotate. Knowledge transfers imperfectly. New teams inherit conclusions without full context. Original uncertainties risk being smoothed over. Investigators document concerns about institutional memory loss. The case persists, but its understanding fragments, complicating continuity and reinforcing reliance on assumptions made years earlier. Why is formal closure repeatedly avoided? Closing requires certainty the evidence cannot supply. Investigators choose openness over finality. The case remains technically alive, not because of hope, but because contradiction remains unresolved. Closure would demand selecting a narrative unsupported by proof. Keeping it open acknowledges limitation rather than solution. Why does public opinion remain split decades later? Each side selects different evidence as decisive. Investigators note how belief substitutes for proof externally. The case becomes a mirror for bias rather than a vessel for facts. Debate persists because evidence allows it. The investigation does not correct the divide, it documents it. After every review, search, theory, and reopening, one contradiction remains untouched. A child disappears from a monitored space. No confirmed exit, no confirmed internal event, no recoverable trace. Investigators leave the room as they entered it. Documenting, not explaining. The case does not end with an answer. It ends with a question still standing.